Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Very interesting, very peculiar. The internet sleuths are undefeated in finding the most interesting stories and interesting trends, and this one is very interesting indeed. There's a sort of collapse going in Washington right now, a real estate collapse, a Washington exodus, I guess you could call it. It's so freaking over for the Washington bureaucrats, people. And honestly, probably the best way to describe it, what I think we're really watching in real time here, is finally, the Washington swamp is being drained. I mean, literally being drained, as house sale listings in the DC area have seemingly out of nowhere surged by over 600%. And this isn't just a market trend, it's not a minor market correction. This is a full-scale evacuation, a deep state swamp evacuation, I might add. The bureaucrats who spent decades leeching off taxpayer money, I guess are now finally fleeing because the gravy train is finally coming to an end. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on, but before we get into any of it, this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by Ground News. So we are officially in Donald Trump's second term as president. The media is going to manipulate and fabricate lies so they can try to undermine and take down his presidency. And folks, in an environment like this, you simply need the tools to navigate the landmines. And that's exactly where Ground News comes in, and especially their amazing blind spot tool that exposes the stories that the leftist media is completely ignoring. We've got this story right over here. Doge team claims that FEMA provided $59 million in illegal funds to house illegal migrants in luxury NYC hotels. And according to Ground News' biased distribution score, only one slightly left-wing outlet covered the story. Meanwhile, right-wing sources are all over it. In other words, leftists don't even know. But of course, if you use Ground News, you'll know everything that's going on, even the stories that the leftist media is trying to hide from you. Can a pitch get any better than that? I don't know, it's pretty tough. Oh wait, it just did, because Ground News is offering you guys an incredible exclusive promotion by simply clicking the link down below in the description. That's ground.news/hivemind, or scanning the QR code on screen. You could get 40% off by signing up for their Vantage plan. That's right, 40% off a Ground News subscription. I guess the pitch just got that much better. Go ahead and click the link or scan the QR code and see exactly what the media doesn't want you to see. A huge thank you to Ground News. Now back to the video. Okay, so let's take a look at this interesting find that's going extremely viral on X. Darth Powell writes, new homes listed for sale is absolutely exploding in Washington, D.C. Everything is effing new. Take a look at the photo and you'll see all kinds of new listings, new, coming soon, and it's even more shocking when you zoom in. Holy frickin' moly. And now apparently there's a number here. Supposedly there's been nearly 15,000 new listed homes in just the last couple of weeks. It's all out panic in DC. And what's funny is that this trend is accompanied with, well, this trend, a massive increase in Washington, D.C. residents searching for criminal defense lawyers. I'll just leave it at that. But isn't it obvious what's going on here? The slush fund has been cut. The faucet has been turned off. And just look at the insane prices of these homes. It's just wild, and apparently, the average housing cost, or the Zestimate, is now tanking precipitously. And I don't think any of this is just natural economic factors. No, this is the end of an artificial bubble that was fueled by government waste. For years, DC functioned as a parasite economy, where useless bureaucrats raked in six-figure salaries for doing absolutely nothing but expanding government bloat. And of course, in the process, making life harder for the average American. And now that Trump and Elon Musk have fired tens of thousands of them, the illusion is shattered, and their phony economy is collapsing under its own weight. And good, because it was never sustainable and really never justifiable to begin with. I mean, just look at the tremendous wealth. You were funding this. The lavish lifestyles of the Washington, D.C. connected. I mean, where do you think these government bureaucrats were getting these big six-figure paychecks? From you. You were funding their lattes and sushi lunches, their massive mortgages and car payments. And what were you getting in return? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Billions of dollars funneled into useless, ideological nonsense. I mean, just look at the Department of Education, for instance. I'm sure there's a lot of bureaucrats at the department with real cushy jobs and massive salaries. Well, what value are they providing you? They're taking your dollars and paying themselves these massive salaries to do what exactly? Well, to spend your money on training teachers to spot racism in 5-year-olds. Yeah, the Department of Education was real busy taking on all those darn racist babies.
By age 5, children of all races demonstrate social biases primarily by attributing negative traits to non-white races. At this age, children are capable of acting against racial injustice.
Yeah, you thought I was joking, didn't you? But there's no joke here. That's what's been going on. Kids who can barely tie their shoelaces were being indoctrinated into DEI CRT nonsense, instead of just being allowed to play with their damn toys and do basic maths and spelling. It's not education, it was ideological brainwashing. And the bureaucrats running it are probably the exact people who were living in these luxurious Washington, D.C. mansions and condos. And the problem got a whole lot worse over the last 4 years. Let's not forget that Joe Biden created more government jobs than any other president in history. According to Yahoo Finance, supposedly a quarter, 25% of the so-called jobs that he created wasn't real economic growth. No, it was a mass hiring spree of government loyalists. Just think about that. 25% of the jobs that Joe Biden created, which most of those jobs were just people going back to work from jobs that they were fired from, well, they were government jobs. Joe Biden's legacy wasn't about rebuilding America. It was about building an army of bureaucrats who would do the regime's bidding. The theft of American taxpayer dollars has run rampant. And clearly there's been no oversight until now. And the real estate situation in Washington, D.C. shows you just how out of control it was. There's never been true oversight. There's never been effective watchdogging. I mean, even left-wing Bill Maher can admit that.
Because this comes from the Government Accountability Office. That's not the Trump administration. The federal government loses an estimated $233 to $521 billion annually to fraud. So when Trump fired, the first thing he did was fired all the inspectors general. And I thought, well, that's not good. That's their job to watchdog stuff. But if you're losing $521 billion a year, how good are you watchdogging?
Exactly. These so-called watchdogs weren't watching anything. They were asleep at the wheel while trillions of dollars simply vanished into the swamp's bottomless pit of waste and corruption. These bureaucrats weren't stopping fraud, they were facilitating it. Their entire purpose to protect the system, not reform it. And of course, they're still doing the exact same thing by mobilizing these Obama-era judges to step in Donald Trump and Elon Musk's way. And now, finally, there's some action. Donald Trump's doing something about it. And the Washington reaction pretty much tells you all that you need to know. It's all falling apart. Trump and Elon have cut off their money, they've exposed their corruption, and seemingly they've forced them out. These bureaucrats have spent decades thinking that they'd be untouchable, that the status quo would remain forever, that the bureaucratic machine would outlast Trump. They overplayed their hand. They created a bloated, parasitic government, this fake, phony economy, built not only on your tax dollars, but on money being printed by the Federal Reserve. The nation is being plunged further and further into crippling debt that's being pushed onto the next generation, on your kids or your future kids or grandkids. Massive debt, trillions of dollars in debt, and on top of that, trillions of dollars lost to straight up fraud.
The government has wasted nearly $3 trillion in taxpayer money
nearly
since
$170 billion in improper payments last year.
$247 billion.
And clearly, some people are benefiting. Clearly, the Washington economy was benefiting, and now all of a sudden it's collapsing the moment all of these payments, the moment all of this money, the slush funds, are being looked into, and many of which are being stopped. I don't know. I'm not necessarily the type to immediately jump to conclusions, but in this case, there's certainly a connection here now, isn't there? The fake Washington economy is crumbling before our very eyes. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.